If you enjoyed the channel and our video content and would like to support us, you can do this in a couple of ways. You can sign up to our Patreon site, which is a monthly subscription to one of our 4 tiers, each giving you something different from early access interviews up to exclusive unseen footage. There's also the option of a one-off donation via PayPal, which allows you the option to donate an amount of your choice. Both options really help to keep this channel going and to continue putting out regular content for you good folk. So please take a look at aircrewinterview.tv/donate, and I thank you in advance. Thank you and enjoy. Do you have any memorable stories you can share from your time on the EA-3B?
You know, it's like most sea stories, and I hope your audience has been fully vetted on the difference between fairy tales and sea stories.
I'm sure they have, yes.
Most fairy tales we grow up with start, well, once upon a time. And sea stories generally start with, now this is no shit. And that's about the only difference. You know, I had some memorable experiences. I remember inadvertently being the first to discover the Libyans had done some stuff and moved some things around. But because we had not, the way we would get signals, and this is so antiquated. Let's say I would pick up a signal and I would analyze and go, oh, that's associated with this platform. And I would get a bearing on it. And I would call up to the navigator up front who's keeping a plot, say, from where we are right now, this bearing, what's that go through? And I remember my nav coming back, well, it goes through this place. And I'm going, okay, cool. I know I know the Libyans have got that system there. They're just, yeah, okay. Didn't realize that beyond that bearing was another place that they actually did not have something until we discovered it, because we took several DF cuts as we went along, and then using magic, we figured out, oh, they all impact here, doing what's called a running line of bearing. And it was like, whoa, we found something new. In the early January, February, March of 79, we were doing some very intense ops in the Eastern Mediterranean, getting a lot of good data, passing it on. At the end of every day, by the way, we would get done, and I would go down to to some secure spaces and put out a message about, this is what we did today, this is where we went, this is what we saw, this is the big picture right now. We got back, and the CO met us on the flight line. And of course, when you're a JO and the CO comes out to meet you, generally it's not good. So they're like, oh God, what do we do now? And it was the CO passing along that our work had been noticed at the very highest levels, and had gotten the verbal, because at that point you didn't pass these things in writing. Verbal, y'all done good. We also had some memorable times. I was on the first U.S. aircraft carrier, the USS Nimitz, to ever visit Israel in April of 78. And that was a show. The morning that we were heading into Haifa, the Israeli Navy came out in flotilla size, met us, very smart seamanship, great U-turn, escorted us. We got a flyover of the Israeli Air Force, bunch of the Mirages and stuff. It was very cool, and we were welcomed. It was really, we were national celebrities and didn't realize it until you couldn't buy a drink in a bar and nobody said no to an offer of another beer. It was a lot of fun. We got to go a lot of neat places, besides the A3 being on whatever Navy port call, which generally a lot for the Sixth Fleet was Naples, and Naples. But Piraeus, I had the opportunity to go to Venice multiple times, which led me to be able to go to Florence multiple times. We would go up to the now NATO air base at Aviano, Italy, because we would run missions up and down the Adriatic, keeping an eye on then Yugoslavia. It's interesting. I had a recent experience literally this summer at Oshkosh. I met some guys who were all retired IDF Air Force pilots. They were my generation. We started trading stories because we knew the Israelis knew we were out there. We knew that they knew that we knew that they knew. All very gentlemanly, all very proportionate and appropriate. They'd run intercepts on the EA-3 back in the late 70s. It was easy to say, that was me.
Yeah.
So you come across these things now and then.
It's a small world, isn't it?
Were port calls. I got to see the Grateful Dead at the amphitheater next to the Sphinx in Cairo because I happened to be on the detachment on the John F. Kennedy in September of 1978 that put into Alexandria.
Wow. That's incredible.
And that was the beginnings of me being a deadhead.
You're dead.
How can you top being at the top of the height of a partial lunar eclipse, and the celebrated American author Ken Kesey comes out on stage in classic Bedouin regalia and says in Arabic and then English, "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Mars." And that starts the concert.
Wow, that's incredible. That's amazing.
Yeah. For me, it was just knowing. We used to say, we know what the day after tomorrow's headlines in the New York Times are going to be, only we know it today.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it was something to be part of a program that, we knew that we couldn't even really discuss it with our spouses, even though they too had been vetted all the way through. I mean, this was a kind of thing where people would say, "Are you in any trouble?" Because the FBI came to my door today to ask how long we'd known you. There was a lot of reward that we knew at the National Security Council level, at the White House level, at Fort Meade and Langley. They knew who we were, they knew what we were doing, and they liked what we did. And that is incredibly fulfilling, even though, we didn't hand out medals. We, stuff even the Air Force got medals for, the Navy wouldn't do it because their attitude was, nobody needs to know, nobody should know. We know internally what you guys did, but you're not getting any ribbons or anything for this.
Yeah, got you.
Okay, we knew.